I'm fine, yeah.
And Mark. Quiet, please.
Right.
A rivalry is a competition that turns into hatred.
It makes everything in the room, in the arena, at the racetrack feel bigger.
It's a subplot. It's about anger. It's about frustration. It's about trying to prove yourself.
It just intensifies everything around it.
They sort of satisfy a primal need.
One entity in competition with another.
Equally matched opponents.
The good guy, they need the bad guy.
It makes people who don't care desperately care. Redskins, Cowboys,
Tar Heels, Blue Devils.
Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
Celtics, Lakers,
Alabama, Auburn.
The Yankees and the Red Sox.
No. You have no idea.
Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon made NASCAR the most important entertainment avenue in the world.
Dad thought he was supposed to be winning, but so did Jeff.
Some rivalries throughout sport just have more juice, and there's never been one that had more juice than Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon.
This is where America gets together.
I think NASCAR was about to explode. The face of our sport of NASCAR was Dale Earnhardt.
Dale came up when NASCAR entered more of the public consciousness. From the chest up, he became his own logo. The sunglasses,
With the cowboy hat,
the open face helmet,
the blue jeans, the boots.
the mustache.
He was that blue-collar racer.
Holy moly, man, was it cool as hell to see him anywhere around you. It's like playing on the same court as Michael Jordan.
You know, he was the sheriff.
He had that attitude. You hit me once,
One tap, hello.
I'm gonna hit you twice.
2 taps, you're in my way. 3rd tap.
See ya. And it was like to the rear bumper, out, spin out, gone.
When you get your front end in there and the guy tries to cut you off, you stand your ground. And a lot of times it comes out bad, but, you know, a lot of times you win races, too.
About the time that Dale had his turf staked out, here comes this young kid from California.
Jeff Gordon was from the other side of Earth. And it wasn't just about location. It was about how he looked. And it was about how he sounded. You take 2 different drivers, 2 different ages, and you put all that into the perfect crucible, which is a sport that is bursting into markets it's never been before.
Wonder Boy's here.
I hear him talking about me.
You talk like a little girl.
I'm sorry, man. I'm just not as big as you. Not as big a man as you.
Jeff came along and we were like, okay, this is what Earnhardt looks like with a coat of polish.
More of a refined guy.
Who looked like he stepped off of a GQ magazine cover.
Everything about Jeff Gordon was shiny, from his haircut to the finish on his car.
Painted like a rainbow.
Boy, that thing became iconic in a hurry.
Jeff was the first guy who took NASCAR from the showroom floor at the Ford dealership to the boardroom floor on 5th Avenue.
Earnhardt kind of looked at it like, who's this kid? Who's this dang kid coming in here getting the spotlight?
My daily deal right here, ride the farm first thing in the morning, check the fence, make sure everything's all right.
Dale Earnhardt was from Kannapolis, North Carolina, a textile town where you had blue collars and dirty fingernails.
It was a tough upbringing for Dale. They did not have a lot, and they worked hard for everything they got.
His father was Ralph Earnhardt, who was a short track legend.
We have a new leader, Ralph Earnhardt in car number 50 in the lead.
Ralph Earnhardt refused to give in to the lint-head textile mill life. That's what his son Dale saw.
He was really the guiding force in my life and direction of which way I was going in racing.
Dale kind of crashed through. There wasn't really a plan. He quit school. You know, he was like, I'm gonna make this work. He basically was homeless for a minute.
I've done insulating work and welding work, front end alignment, brake work. I've done a lot of things in my time just to get to where I'm at.
He was gonna do everything he could do to race. And he also lost his father.
When he first died, I was mad for several years about it. I was upset and mad about it. I just didn't even think about it, didn't even want to think about it.
I felt like that Ralph's death ramped up Dad's ambition.
I was a driver back in the 70s when he first came in, and I think he got noticed the way he drove and raced.
Dale immediately had success. He was Rookie of the Year. He backed it up with championship in 1980.
He just continued to have so much ambition because he so missed his dad. His dad wasn't seeing what was happening. His dad didn't get to see him make it. And I think that just drove Dad crazy. I think that made Dad the tough customer that he was. And, you know, he raced his guts out.
You can't ever overstate the impact of the father figure in your life. And I think about Dale Earnhardt, and the reason he wanted to race was because that's what his dad did. Even if deep down, Ralph would have preferred Dale going to school and doing something different. For Jeff Gordon, I mean, all the chips were pushed in.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gordon. I'm 13 years old, and I'm running sprint cars. I'm from Vallejo, California. I've been running quarter midgets for 8 years, go-karts for about 4 years.
I grew up modestly. My parents worked really, really hard to start their own business from the ground up. You know, I saw that, so I appreciated that.
Jeff Gordon had no choice but to be a race car driver because his stepfather, John Bickford, was obsessed and had Jeff in a quarter midget just about the time Jeff could walk.
He was the right kid at the right time to give me a chance to live my childhood. I've always been around race cars, and it became fun for him and fun for me, and it was a family thing, and we had committed ourselves.
Every weekend we went to the racetrack, and in between those weekends, we drove an hour and a half or 2 hours sometimes just to practice, just put as many laps on him as we possibly could. He didn't like that, but it was important.
Yeah, there were times when I did miss out on things, and there were times where, you know, I was wanting to be with my friends. But of course, as those friends remind me today, Jeff, you did the right thing. I think it worked out okay.
Jeff was winning so much and dominating so much that he was like getting bored. We could see as parents that he wasn't even really enjoying it anymore, and he needed to be challenged.
My long trip goal is really to get in an Indy car.
So what do? You want to race in Indianapolis one day? You pack up and you move to Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, it was on. When I got to Indiana, and I'm now in an environment that embraces racing, that was ideal.
When they went to the black, number 3, whoa, that was the start, because racing fans were already increasing by the multitudes in the late 80s. He knew that they were coming to see a show. And as money came in, prestige came in, confidence built, the Intimidator was born.
Now you have a black car, a nickname that's cool, and a fan base that's growing. The Intimidator status helped Dale out a lot, and he used it.
I've heard drivers talk about how Dad would run over them and then put his arm around them, and they would go, yeah, You're right. And then a week later, they're like, damn it, why did I let him do that? He had this ability to sort of, you couldn't stay mad at him.
Throughout his career, Dale Earnhardt had a series of rivalries, and they were heated ones.
Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt, which dominated the sport in the early 90s. Those two guys who looked like they basically came from the same neighborhood. Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon looked like they didn't come from the same planet.
If you're a young kid racing sprint cars in Indiana, you have this dream of being Mario Andretti and A.J. Foyt. They went from sprint cars and midgets and Silver Crown cars and went on to race at Indianapolis. And that was pretty amazing in the 60s. It was not happening in the 80s.
Because if you were going to be in one of those cars, you either had to have the right last name, you had to be an Unser, you had to be a Fittipaldi, or you had to walk in the door with millions of dollars in sponsorship, not $100,000 in sponsorship. Frustrated, John Bickford and Jeff Gordon decided to go south to Buck Baker's driving school. You'd ask Buck Baker about Jeff Gordon, and the first time he got in that car and his eyes would light up.
Jeff has been an inspiration to a lot of the other students that are here. I put him in different cars from the Busch type to the Winston Cup, and he just adapted.
When he saw what the kid could do on a really difficult racetrack, having never driven one of those cars before, everybody knew that they had something special.
You know, I've kind of looked into some ARS and maybe some Indy cars, and I'm kind of looking at the stock cars right now, and I definitely like the stock cars.
He got in that car, and he loved it.
I think if I start young and, you know, and build myself up in a really good car, I think down the road, you know, I could really be competitive in a Winston Cup car.
And that, I think, is what started to turn the switch to, what about NASCAR?
I've won 5 championships and accomplished a lot, but I still get in that race car and get after it and get as excited about it as I did the first time I drove it. So I don't think I've lost any driver fire about it. Sun comes up, I get it. It's time to go.
When you walk into this place compared to the other tracks you run, is this place intimidating?
It's so unlike any racetrack I've ever been to. It's amazing.
That's your mom right back there, right?
Yeah.
This will be new, so I do have butterflies in my stomach right now.
When Jeff got into the Busch Grand National, obviously I'd heard of Dale Earnhardt before, but that's really when I started paying attention, because he would race some of the Grand National races.
That's when it started to register with me of why Dale Earnhardt was who he is, and if he's the best, then I'm going to try to learn from him.
That white car is driven by Jeff Gordon, the 91 Rookie of the Year in Grand National competition.
Earnhardt and Jeff had a couple of good races in Busch Grand National. Jeff was respectful but not intimidated.
What a battle up front. Earnhardt wants the lead.
Dad had a hard time intimidating Jeff. When Dad was intimidating other guys, they didn't think they were supposed to win. They looked at Dad and went, wow, I hope I can beat that guy today. Where Jeff never felt that way. He's like, I'm supposed to win.
Hell of a job! Hell of a job!
In life, you don't see many athletes or drivers that come along that you just see that much talent right out of the gate. And so I went to work right away.
What's it like out here? Ah, beautiful. Should have got up a little earlier and went down in the hot tub.
Jeff, are you nervous at all?
I am, but I won't actually start, I think, getting the butterflies until we're sitting in the car.
You got to remember, Jeff Gordon was hired to drive for the Yankees and of NASCAR, Hendrick Motorsports, at 20. Nobody did that.
I think I had more criticism about trying to move him up too quick because back then, you're 35 or 38 was fairly new coming into a Cup Series.
The guys that had to work their way up that ladder,
they viewed Jeff Gordon as the outsider, that he had it all handed to him on a platter.
Jeff Gordon used to get under my skin, just got in a car, had the best cars, the best motors, the best everything, and went. I never thought he paid his dues.
What's this kid doing? He's coming into Cup. He's 20-something years old. He's from California. He's been driving open-wheel cars. What's he gonna do?
Yeah, man.
Jeff had the mustache and the gargoyles, and I'll never forget it. One of the conversations we had, Dale's like, what the hell's he doing? You know, he said, like, that's mine.
In that moment when Jeff was a rookie, Dale was a 5-time champion, and Dale had no qualms letting Jeff know that he was the guy.
And you know, it's hard to be very nervous when the car's as comfortable to drive as that one.
I think it was just typical Dale, where he was going to do everything possible to rattle us.
We were standing there, Jeff and myself, and Earnhardt walks up and kind of looked at Jeff, and he looked at me and he said, you need to tell that kid of yours to get out of my way, I'll be coming through.
It's Earnhardt in front, trying for the 15th time to win the 500. And what about this rookie in only his first try? Here he comes.
To see right out of the box how he ran, you definitely took notice.
Looked like that was an intentional run to get right up there and show these folks that he was not going to be intimidated by any big names out here today.
But I don't know that he wanted to tangle on that last slap with Dale.
Here comes Jarrett, dipping to the outside as Gordon went to the inside.
White flag and 1 lap to go.
Man, that was one of those ones where I should have had more faith in Jeff as a rookie. May have been the fact that I was a Dale Earnhardt fan, and I was like, stick with Dale, stick with Dale.
This is the finish.
Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
I thought Jeff and I could hang on there and just keep drafting and be okay, and then just a tussle, see who could get there.
Well, there's next year. The man in black will be back. How about the kid who almost won? If you'd won this, you would have made a lot of guys here feel real old in a hurry.
Well, you know, all we wanted to do was come away today with one piece. But, you know, it was the most exciting thing in my life to be there riding with Dale Earnhardt.
I'm top 5 in the Daytona 500, and immediately people started, you know, cheering. Not loud, not big roars, but you didn't hear boos, and it was cheers.
Jeff, I know you're in a hurry, but can we get a picture with you?
Sure.
Are you married?
I think you got 2 candidates here.
And then, you know, I think throughout that year we performed pretty well at times.
We haven't seen anyone be able to drive up there and take the lead away from Earnhardt.
Here comes the rookie, Gordon.
That would build a little bit to more cheers and more cheers. And that was nice. That felt good.
He was my guy. He was my favorite driver. Just being the new guy on the scene in this bright-colored rainbow paint scheme. But what's ironic about that is my first ever NASCAR race that I went to, Dale Earnhardt, Rex, Jeff Gordon.
First, I learned a lesson at Daytona, the first race of the year, racing with Dale at the Daytona 500 and drafting and all that stuff. That was a great lesson to be learned for me. So now you get later in the season, and he's battling for the championship. And so I raced side by side with him for a couple laps for 8th or 9th or 10th or something like that. And I remember I gave him plenty of room, and he just came up and said, that's it, kid. Here you go.
Oh, Jeff Gordon.
Blue.
In the fence. Caution flag.
That was less than probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 10 that year.
Of all the times that I can remember him being just mad at Earnhardt, that was the one time that I remember him being pissed off.
I mean, I was falling back. He clearly got underneath me, and for some reason he got in my left rear. I don't know what happened, but sent us in the wall, and he's still out there.
That was a really dividing point for me. It's like, look, it's us against everybody. You got no friends out here. You know, if we want to win this thing, no friends.
Earnhardt has won the 1993 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship.
Back then, we raced a lot different than they did, and our style had been successful. We didn't need to worry about them.
I believe it drove Jeff harder. He went to the racetrack to beat Dale Earnhardt.
This is old neighborhood right here. Right here, where I used to live. This is the field where these new buildings and all these attorneys and accountants have now. We used to play baseball and football out there. My mom's old house.
And everybody wants to be a Dale Earnhardt, but you know, I also know he's human. He's just like the rest of us, and I feel like when I've got a good race car, I'm as intimidating as Dale Earnhardt.
In 1994, we had a team that was building momentum, building better cars, building a better team, but we weren't at the level of what Dale Earnhardt was.
I don't necessarily consider us veterans now, but at least we're not considered rookies.
After he sort of worked the bugs out of the early season, he began to sort of find his own, and they took off like a rocket.
You make me dizzy, running circles in my head. One of these days I'll chase you down.
Earnhardt Chevy right behind him, the 24 of 22-year-old Jeff Gordon.
The 1994 Coca-Cola 600 was a seminal moment in NASCAR history because it validated Jeff Gordon.
I remember Earnhardt running really good in the afternoon. We just dusted him, you know, and I'll never forget. I said to him next day, never did see you come through there, bud. What's up, you know?
Checkers are out, and they are down, and it is Jeff Gordon victorious. His first Winston Cup victory. Earnhardt up to congratulate him.
He's shaking his fist at him.
It was very emotional when he came in here. Jeff Gordon in absolute tears.
Tears in victory lane. It's like,
this is not going to do this dude any favors right now.
It's unusual. I looked at it and I thought, wow, this driver really wants to be here, and he's really passionate.
And was not afraid to let people see that. Once he won that first race, it's like it was game on and stayed game on until the day he retired.
Jeff Gordon is certainly one of the greatest drivers we have out there. May never be another Richard Petty, but we may have another Dale Earnhardt standing at victory lane there tonight.
I wish that people could understand the magnitude of what was going on in the garage area at that time. We were starting to find out that we could win. And we were on this path, man. I mean, it was going steady, and the Brickyard made it do this.
The inaugural Brickyard 400 was the most perfect of perfect storms.
Sports exploding in popularity, going to one of the greatest venues on earth to race.
It was so huge. It was 350,000 people who were tearing the fence down in excitement that Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon came to Indy. And Dale Earnhardt wanted it worse than anybody out there.
Dad didn't like losing on these key moments for the sport.
It's Dale Earnhardt on the outside of the front row. Jeff Gordon will start from third position. And the green is out to signal the beginning of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
Dale Earnhardt wanted to win the inaugural Brickyard 400 so much that he put his car in the wall on the first lap just because he wanted to lead the first lap, let alone win a race.
As a kid growing up, going through the museum and going to the Indy 500, that was like my dream come true.
Listen to this crowd in Indiana as they cheer their boy, Jeff Gordon.
That wasn't somewhere where Dale Earnhardt could go in there and just muscle his way and make it happen. The finesse you needed to be able to handle those flat corners that Jeff learned by handling flat racetracks growing up in the Midwest played right into Jeff Gordon's hands.
We'll remember the name, Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
That was life-changing. My life to this day has never been the same because of that race.
I think Earnhardt would have been fine if Bill Elliott or Rusty Wallace or somebody like that had won the first one. He'd been okay with it, but the fact that Jeff won it, I think that really intensified that rivalry.
The entire country was paying attention to this anomaly, Jeff Gordon. Oh, he's young, he's handsome, he's well-spoken, and he's fast, too. I'm gonna be a fan of that guy.
If you didn't want to pull for a burly dude that threw, haystacks around and drank a lot of beer,
Jump in that brown truck and bring me a cold beer back out here.
Jeff Gordon was your guy. It was a clash of cultures. You looked at the Jeff Gordon fans, and it was the mom who took her husband to the racetrack and their kids. The Dale Earnhardt fan base, it was a lot of 40-something-year-old dudes that were dressed in black and had giant belt buckles.
He's got a big Gordon skinny little ass.
The good old boys that wore the boots and chewed tobacco in the stands, there's no way they're ever gonna pull for Jeff Gordon. That's a kid. He's a kid. He looks like he should be delivering newspapers. And so many blue-collar people that grew up hunting and fishing, they identified with Dale, how tough it was in life. He had to earn everything he got. And I think there was some jealousy and resentment that he had so much success so quickly.
He hadn't been a threat to Dale. All of a sudden, about 94, win the 600, win the Brickyard, and then the tide started to turn a little bit because, wait a minute, he's not from around here. This kid's wearing sneakers. Where's his cowboy boots?
There has never been an athlete in the history of sport that was more hated by a fan base than Jeff Gordon was hated by Dale Earnhardt's fans. They hated him.
Earnhardt, the man.
What about Jeff Gordon? What about him? As long as he stays in the back.
I can't tell you what I'm saying, what I'm thinking.
I was a fan of Earnhardt. At times, he was a bit of a villain, and not everyone may have loved him, but he kind of didn't care.
Earnhardt fan.
Gordon!
The fan venom and the fan vitriol was the reason that the rivalry was so hot. And it was beautiful. Everything about it was beautiful.
If you want to make a pass, look for the right opening and make sure your fellow racer can see you coming. If it's Jeff Gordon, put the son-of-a-bitch in the wall. I didn't say that.
He really played that intimidator image to the hilt with the rivalry with Jeff, because they got near each other, they would up their intensity to the point where it would put our cars in jeopardy.
They were at Pocono one time, and Jeff was behind Dale.
Earnhardt comes up just a bit. That may be enough for Gordon to sneak through on the bottom.
And obviously that upset Dale.
He gets to my rear bumper, and now I'm like, uh-oh.
Earnhardt just inches off the back. Oh, there's trouble. Gordon in trouble, just lost a whole bunch of spots.
Dale just drives the nose of his car into Jeff's rear bumper and just pushes him almost all the way into the next corner.
And I am just livid, man. I am on fire so mad. I just, like, why? A couple weeks later, we're testing in Indianapolis, and I'm talking to him. And I didn't say a whole lot about that. I was about to, and then somebody came up with a photograph. One of the photographers came up and said, man, I got this cool photo of you and Dale at Pocono from a couple weeks ago. And he says to me, boy, you look loose. And I said, yeah, no. I said, that's because you were wrecking me. And he goes, what? Like it never happened. He didn't remember anything about it. He was like, oh, I don't know, man. It just looks like you're really loose. And I actually pulled out a Sharpie, and I said, all right, I've never asked you for an autograph. I want you to sign this.
I think that Dad goosed the rivalry every chance he got. I mean, at one particular point in the sport, he owned the merchandise business for every driver. I would be real surprised if he didn't have conversations with Jeff Gordon about that during the week. Like, hey, if you want to go out and beat on each other, we'll keep it on the track. And then on, Monday to Thursday, we'll, count the money.
I believe Dale Earnhardt was light years ahead of his competition as it relates to what can we do off the track? How can we make this thing bigger, better, faster, stronger?
You had the Rainbow Warriors, and then you had the Man in Black. That kind of really skyrocketed to where race fans would come to the racetrack looking to buy a T-shirt.
133.13.
This rivalry, it continued even in the product mix. Jeff went to Kellogg's, we'd go to Wheaties. Jeff went to Pepsi, we'd go to Coke. We would literally try to be the antithesis every time we could.
Dale and Jeff were both very aware of that. I mean, they both knew, okay, good guy, bad guy, white hat, black hat.
Quite honestly, when Dale and I talked, and we would talk quite often, it was very rare that we were talking about a setup on a car. It was an autograph event, sponsor event, die-cast cars. I'm gonna take the air off your sport.
Well, I'll spin you out, then we'll have to go to the pits and fix the cars.
Dad, can we please have our action racers back now?
We'll just have to finish this on Sunday.
No, we're gonna finish this after they go to bed tonight.
Dale Earnhardt made everyone a lot of money. Jeff Gordon bought everyone airplanes. The entire financial model of the sport changed.
Jeff took us to new places. And he did things that maybe Dad couldn't even do. They weren't interested in having Dad, but hey, this guy that's New York City.
He loved all the glamour of it, and he was good at it.
I am so excited to be here in New York hosting Saturday Night Live.
Dale would have never thought about doing Saturday Night Live. Jeff wasn't scared to go to those places that Dale wasn't comfortable with, and Jeff was.
That rivalry between Jeff and Dale was exactly the adrenaline push that NASCAR really needed. NASCAR just exploded.
They were the dynamite stick that blew NASCAR up.
It was a springboard. It was the stage upon which the next 2 decades of growth was built.
The reason that NASCAR became a Florida to California sport was the fact that their fan bases hated each other, and those two made NASCAR must watch. Period.
No, it's good. We're stable. Sandbagged it. As long as I don't lean back much.
Yeah, don't get too carried away.
I wanna make some headlines. I think that this could be our best year ever, but you know, can Dale Earnhardt win 8 championships? If not, who's going to be the guy that take him, you know, off that top?
The 24 car caught us all off guard a little bit in 95.
For the win, Jeff Gordon, career victory number 3.
Textbook win.
Jeff Gordon is going to win it. Yes, indeed. Jeff Gordon takes the checkered flag and wins his first career short track.
Hell yeah!
We knew they were good. Obviously, they'd won 2 Crown Jewel races the year before. You know, they had momentum. We got that. No one had any idea they were going to be that good.
We came to the racetrack, I believe, every weekend with the best race car. And I believe Dale knew that we were coming with the best race car. The way I was able to intimidate him was that I had faster race cars than him. I mean, I got the best of him most of the time. Matter of fact, we kicked his ass.
Week after week after week, that 24 car was just getting ahead of everybody. And Gordon walked by. Earnhardt said, "See that guy right there?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "Doesn't he just piss you off?" And I was like, "Yeah," you know. And he's like, "I don't know what we're going to do about that guy. He's just, you know, can't beat him." And he was serious.
We started out really good and strong.
And Dale Earnhardt has won his first of 1995.
We felt we could win our 8th championship. And then we had some issues along the way.
And Earnhardt, he gets and he is in the wall hard.
Dale Earnhardt spins twice to the back straightaway.
We built up a points lead that normally was a points lead he was building up, and he found himself in kind of a role reversal.
I feel like we can win our share of the races if we just keep shooting at them. You're going to hit them once in a while.
They are ready to go racing here at Indianapolis. The second ever Brickyard 400. On the pole, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon, the defending Brickyard 400 champion. In the 7th row, Dale Earnhardt.
It meant the world to him to win that race, and he really wanted to win it the year before.
Dale Earnhardt leading Jeff Gordon. Dale Earnhardt in command of the Brickyard 400. Dale Earnhardt has won the second Brickyard 400.
What a way to begin the second half of the year, a win at the Brickyard.
He wanted that trophy on those hallowed grounds, and to have his name etched alongside all of the great legends that make Indianapolis so magical.
A great racetrack, tradition up here. I'm glad I'm the second man that won, and if not the first.
We really appreciate it.
It was kind of a foregone conclusion because we'd seen this movie before that the Intimidator would chew up the points lead and eventually win the championship. And the contender, whoever that was going to will.
Earnhardt comes off corner number 4. He wins the Goodies 500.
You guys are doing what you need to do if you want to win this championship, lead the most laps and win the race.
Well, we had a plan. We just got a little behind early in the year.
We were starting to run a lot better. And they were looking in the mirror like, where's he at?
And we started going, uh-oh. Earnhardt's going to do the same to us as he's done to others. And you start getting a little bit scared and nervous. And are we the best team? Do we really have what it takes?
As Dale was coming late in the year, I imagine that the 24 boys were puckered up pretty good.
Dale was 300 points behind going into Charlotte. I think there was 4 races to go after that. And we were doing an autograph session at his dealership. And we had a lady visit in line from Louisiana. She gave us a voodoo doll of Jeff Gordon. At the end of the autograph session, Dale goes, "You bring that to the racetrack." I'm like, "Yes, sir." Richard and I and Dale and whoever was in the lounge got the pins and started putting in Jeff's right foot, his gas foot.
We were using everything we had.
We don't want anything bad to happen to Jeff, but we just don't want him to hit the gas too hard. So in the Charlotte race, with about halfway to go, we look and they're pushing the 24 behind the wall.
Jeff Gordon, current point leader. Hear that crowd? Don't tell me there aren't some Earnhardt fans still around this place.
So I was like, wow, okay, so we know this is happening. This is a big thing. I think the game was like 100 points.
And Earnhardt, he has cut Gordon's point lead to 2:05 this afternoon.
Dale calls me that night. That voodoo doll's still in the trailer, right? Good. You make sure that we have that thing for the rest of the season.
Oh, Gordon taken out.
He got hit right in the back.
And the Earnhardt fans love it.
And every weekend we put a pin in his foot. I don't even think Jeff knows about that.
Damn that voodoo doll. I had no idea that's what it was. I'm going to be the arrogant driver that I was in 1995 and say, well, that was the only way they were going to win the championship.
Jeff Gordon, the 24-year-old, he is so close to winning the 1995 championship. Dale Earnhardt is the only other driver that can catch him.
Earnhardt looks like he's going to try to dominate and win the race as well.
We just go out there and do everything, lead as many laps as possible, and win. That's all we can do.
Jeff was looking pretty racy going to the inside of Dick Trickle and going into 7th spot.
Dale Earnhardt makes a pass exiting turn 4 on Ricky Rudd.
Now many of those running up front are coming in for pit stops. The leader is Sterling Marlin. Jeff Gordon is second. Is Jeff waiting for Sterling to make the move? Jeff can lead the lap and lock up the championship.
Jeff Gordon cannot afford to wait. He's losing a tremendous amount of distance to Earnhardt.
All right, Marlin comes in. Let's see if Jeff stays out. He will, and Jeff Gordon is going to lead this lap.
Jeff Gordon grabs the 1995 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
The first championship is a big one. You all of a sudden realize I've made it.
All right, so Jeff Gordon wins the championship. What do you do when you win a championship? Champagne, right? You toast with champagne.
Dale had been gigging him about being too young to drink champagne.
But before I go any further, I'd like to recognize the man who never let up on his efforts to win his 8th championship. Dale, great effort, man. There's some milk.
I didn't know he was going to do that. I thought it was cool that Earnhardt took it in great stride. He got up and toasted him, and I think you could see the respect that they had for each other at that moment.
sorry, man. You've been having so much fun with me all year, and I've been straight-faced and all tight. I had to loosen up a little bit.
It was cool because it was a tribute, but it was also cool because it was I'm tired of talking about this. We're not going to do this anymore. You know, I'm putting the period at the end of the Wonder Boy sentence, and y'all don't even know what I'm about to do over the next few years. If we're going to do this, let's do this as men, because I'm done with the Wonder Boy thing.
Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt measured one another by the success of the other. Their success was measured by how that other guy did.
Now you've had a chance to see the cars. Any thoughts now?
Worried about this kid.
There's no question challenges motivated Dale Earnhardt. No question in the late 90s that it was that 24 car, Jeff Gordon.
We're a team of the future, and I think we're going to be the team to beat.
Jeff gave Dad a new challenge and inspired Dad to achieve for more.
This is the moment. They're ready to fire them up and begin the Daytona 500.
Dale Earnhardt, the man who's been tilting at this windmill for 18 years. It's today the day.
Winning the Daytona 500 was the last box Dad needed to check.
I don't know how in the world Dale Earnhardt hadn't won Daytona.
We would always come up a lap or two short.
He felt like that he was supposed to accomplish everything in the sport, and that was obviously a big missing piece of that puzzle.
Green flag goes in the air, and we are underway in the Daytona 500.
Earnhardt, in his 19th try to win the 500, has moved into second position, and Jeff Gordon has come to third.
Here goes the pass. Gordon making a move on the inside of Earnhardt.
And boom.
Earnhardt hit the outside wall hard and rolled down the back straightaway. And for the 19th time, Lady Luck deals a bad hand to Earnhardt.
People remember Dale Earnhardt ended up on his roof. What they forget is who he was battling for position when he hit the wall coming off of 2, and it was Gordon.
And I was like, oh, man.
The last thing you ever want to do is crash Dale Earnhardt in the Daytona 500. So, you know, I really wasn't trying to do that, and I don't feel like I did.
That was the day where, even at the racetrack, you kind of felt that generational shift a little bit, like, oh, okay.
The checkered flag of the 500 is over. Jeff Gordon is the winner of the 1997 Daytona 500. What a moment. His first 500 at age 25.
When Jeff won Daytona, I'm sure that got under his skin.
It bothered him bad.
I think Gordon was a little impatient at that point, but still, you know, he went on and won the race. He's running his race, but that's the way it goes.
I know Dale's tried for many, many years, but, you know, that doesn't make it any less desirable for me. And I wanted it really bad, and I knew I had to get ahead of him if I was going to have a shot at it.
I really hate to bug you, but we would like to get a comment. It's over with. That's it, guys. You know, Daytona's over. We're going to Rockingham.
I think Jeff woke up something in Dale Sr. I can still do this. This kid ain't going to take my plate without a fight.
Earnhardt has been the leader. Still has yet to find the key to the gate that opens to victory lane.
Earnhardt striving, struggling to finally win this 500.
Jeff Gordon shoving back.
This could be the Daytona 500. Come on, baby!
Woo! 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will win the Daytona 500.
Daytona 500 is ours. We've won it, we've won it, we've won it.
When a young, great talent like Jeff Gordon comes along, it pushed Dale Earnhardt to have more of a drive to win that Daytona 500 in '98.
I'm here. We got the
Most rivalries just fade out. Somebody gets old, someone is injured, someone retires, it just kind of fades away. The Jeff Gordon-Dale Earnhardt rivalry died on February 18th, 2001.
The 3-car down. Oh, big trouble. Big wreck behind them.
That was a huge loss. It was a huge loss for so many, including myself.
You just couldn't watch without crying. Suddenly, the guy that you think is invincible is gone.
The list of what ifs, what if Dale hadn't left us that day, it's too long to even get into. But near the top of that list for me has always been, what would that rivalry have been? You know, would we have had a second chapter?
I never in a million years thought that I could tie Dale Earnhardt for wins.
Jeff Gordon rounds turn 4, gets his first Phoenix win.
And when that win came,
as Jeff Gordon salutes the number 3 as it was driven by Dale Earnhardt.
And we knew that it was going to be maybe controversial to some of the Earnhardt fans, but it didn't matter. You know, that was a great way to show respect.
It was meant to be a tribute. It was meant to be a thank you. It was meant to be a moment that this was the man by which I measured myself as a stock car racer. Thank you.
I just loved it. I thought it was great. Anybody saying anything great or showing any kind of recognition to Dad is a great thing, but coming from Jeff Gordon, who's accomplished so much, made it even more special.
The coolest thing was Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming over to Victory Lane.
Hey, man. Thank you. Hey, that was really cool. That's an honor.
By him saying Dad would have been proud, that solidified it for me. That was, I'm so glad that we did that day.
I didn't realize how important rivals were. I wish I had the confidence that he had to play into it, to build it up even more. I mean, you could easily say that's what launched my career. This is the Dale a lot of us knew, you know, cowboy boots, Wranglers. This is the size he was when he was in the race car.
As much as he messed with me, somehow on the inside, I always thought that it was a sign of respect. He would have not said anything at all if he didn't care. I respected the heck out of this guy. Loved racing with him. Hated it at times, but no, overall, my experience with Dale was incredible. I miss him. I know a lot of people do.
This was, in so many ways, the perfect rivalry.
Two guys that had that many fans that were that good.
People could show up and say, as long as we beat Earnhardt, I don't care where we finish. As long as we beat Gordon today, I don't care if we finish 19th, as long as he finishes 20th.
There's definitely still a passion for the 3 flags, for the 24 flags, and those being flown at our events because they're iconic.
It was a love-hate deal. All Earnhardt.
Not a fan of Jeff Gordon. I didn't like Earnhardt.
If you ask anybody about NASCAR, someone that has no clue in the world of NASCAR, they know 2 names. It's Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt.
The rivalry between Dad and Gordon took the sport in front of new audiences. We don't never get there without Dad versus Gordon.
There's no competitor out there today like this. I don't know if there's ever been another competitor like that.
The sport should always be thankful for the fact that the guy with the blow-dried hair and the guy with the mustache were both really good at exactly the right time.
What is a rivalry? It's personalities kind of clashing and going head-to-head. If this was not manufactured, it was real.